Hey friends, Pastor Michael from Organic Church, here with Sydney Erickson, Pastor Holly Daisy, Nick Offolter, Pastor Roger Deerdorf. We are going to follow up on part 2 tonight from last week. So last week was the fun, flowery stuff. We talked a lot about heaven and all the what'll happen to the righteous and all of us good, kind people. But tonight we're going to bring it down a minute. So Roger had the topic, what will happen to the wicked in the end times. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you kick off with that, and then we're going to talk about all the fun, crazy stuff. Okay?
Okay. All right, yeah. It's what happens to the wicked in the final days of judgment? In the last days, all the dead shall rise and be resurrected. Their souls will be reunited with the same bodies that they had before dying. And when I was reading this, I thought, now what? If when you died you didn't have any arms, would you receive that body? But then the glorified body will come. But will you come back to that, have that original body?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
I mean,
even like if you were born without them or
right.
even lost. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think you'd be whole and complete in heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say in heaven.
Yeah, but I mean, the word says you're going to receive the body that you had when you died. Mm-hmm. So it's something to think about.
Yeah.
I thought what if you had your head cut off?
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I mean that is kind of morbid, but I mean.
So I stepped out for a second and walked back in to hear Roger say, cut your head off. I don't really, good stuff.
Sometimes.
You guys' relationship, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't even need to know the context of the conversation to agree with that.
Then there will be a change, and those who are wicked to the state of everlasting shame and torment. And if anybody's read the Word, there are a lot of passages in here that tell us who we should avoid. And let's see, I got a bunch of them here. I should have marked 1, 2, and 3, but I didn't. But in Romans 1:29,
in true Roger fashion, I should have, but I didn't.
But I didn't.
My phone wasn't working, so I couldn't write it down.
Yeah, we thought Roger was a goner.
Yeah, he's been off the charts since Sunday. I've called him several times, sent him several text messages, couldn't get a hold of him. He comes in, he's like, hey, I called his house last night, finally got him. I'm like, where have you been? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I've been trying to get a hold of you for days. He's like, oh.
Side note, people that haven't or don't go to our church or attend, his wife just had surgery.
Yes.
So he's all out of his realm trying to take care of her.
So he answers the phone, talk to him. He's like, nothing ever happened. I never got a call from you, never got a text message. He hands me his phone in this room tonight, and he says, hey, can you figure out why my phone doesn't work? I turned it off, turned it back on, and he gets like 100 text messages, most of them from me.
He goes, 17?
18?
I can't help it.
I know. It's just in good fun.
Yeah, I know. But in Romans 1:29-31, it says, they have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent. 2 words I can't pronounce. So
welcome to my world.
They invent ways to do evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death. They not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. Okay, that's just one example, of the the kind of people that we need to stay away from.
There was one in there that you read. They invent ways to do evil or something of that. Like it was in that.
They
go out of
invent
their
ways
way.
to do evil.
Like there are some people who it doesn't matter what you say, what you do. They find a way to make it bad.
Yes.
And the thing is it's not always like evil the way that we would perceive. Like it's
Yeah.
not always cutting someone's head off or you know what I mean, murderous or but that negative spirit that they carry with them, and then they drag everybody else down with them. It's amazing how many people there are like that.
Yeah. And then I kind of went through and got all these. And 1 Corinthians 3:10 through 15 says, "By the grace of God has given," this is Paul talking to the Corinthians. So, "By the grace of God has given me, I laid a foundation as an expert builder, and someone else is building on it. But each one should be careful how he builds. How he builds. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. If any man build on this foundation using gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, his work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each man's work. If what he has built survives, he will receive his reward. If it is burned up, he will suffer loss. He himself will be saved, but only as one escapes through the flames." And so this, I mean, you know,
What was the actual passage? What was that you were in?
1 Corinthians
3:10.
3:10.
See, my mind does not retain that stuff. I heard it, and I knew I wanted to go there, but I
Doesn't process.
no, my brain couldn't. Like I started listening to him, and then I was drooling a little bit.
You know, what we do here on earth, really, if we're not working for the Lord, you know, all of our work that we do is
You said doo-doo.
we do. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Reel him back in.
I know.
Aye.
We're just trying to keep it light.
Yeah.
We're a little nervous.
Yeah. Easton's at home laughing right now. Dad just made a poop joke.
Yeah. Oh, Lord almighty.
Can I speak into that part for just a second?
Sure.
As soon as you started reading it, it was timely for me. And it said the part that says, "Because of God's grace, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder. Now others are building on it. Good Lord. But whoever is building on this foundation must be very careful. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one we already have, Jesus Christ." And I want to speak to something that I was challenged on last week, and I think that it's fair to have this conversation. I was challenged about our new church sign.
Okay.
I was challenged with the fact that Florence's name is on the top of that sign. And it says, "Foundation laid in 1982 by Pastor Florence Fellers McNutt." And the challenge was, she didn't lay the foundation, Jesus Christ did. And there was a reason that I put it the way that I did, because she laid the foundation of the physical building. In 1982, she built this building. But she built this ministry on the solid rock. Had she not built the building and been as faithful as she was, we wouldn't have a building.
Right.
That's right.
Nor would we have a ministry. So I don't for a second feel bad about the fact that her name is on the sign. Some people are like, "Well, but she's not here anymore." I understand that.
Yeah, but
it's
we
not
wouldn't be
about
here. Yeah.
right. It has nothing to do with her being here, not being here.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with the fact that she handed us so much.
Yeah, like
we
we're
inherited
honoring-
so
that's the
much.
least we could do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, her name's on the sanctuary. You're right. It is.
It is.
And
What's
I'd
wrong
have it
with
on
that?
every bathroom stall and every windowsill if it made sense to do that.
Yeah,
But
2x4.
right.
It's through the whole building.
Right. You know, and we all leave our mark on this place, sometimes through the ceiling, sometimes
Blood.
you know, blood on the light
Blood on the light
fixtures.
fixture.
We all leave our mark on this place. But I mean, if you think about the whole first half of the building, the sanctuary half of our building. She, like, her family physically with their hands built that building.
Yeah.
Like, there, you honor that.
Yeah.
She wasn't doing it out of vain for herself, and we don't put her name on the sign to glorify her, but to glorify her kingdom work.
Right.
And so, okay, I'm off my soapbox now. I apologize. Goat head.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
That was good.
Thank you. And those are people, people who, sorry, I'm back on it. Those people who say those things are the people that you want to avoid, because they're the negative people who want to drag people through the mud and, well, I didn't like her. Well, I don't care.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Well, and she did so much for the community and the ministry, and
It's mind blowing. And I don't think they were like, "Ooh, I hated her,"
Right.
or anything like that. It was more of a, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why is your name on the bottom and her name is on the top? It doesn't make a difference to me. And I actually said originally, I don't care if my name's ever on the sign. It doesn't mean
you did.
anything to me. So, but apparently the reason my name did end up on the bottom of the sign, for clarity, is it was confusing that people, if I just put her name, thought that she was still pastoring here. It's a little
I can see
confusing.
that.
So we wanted to make sure there was clarity. Okay. All you, Roger. Sorry, buddy. Now he's reading.
going back to the wicked.
Okay, here we go. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10. Do you have it?
There.
Okay.
Remember, that's how we used to do it at church. Like when you had a paper Bible,
there.
everybody said there,
Yeah.
and then the pastor.
Hey, I
needed to
still
preach.
use mine, so you need to slow down
I'm
on Sundays
sorry.
because I want to be like, Pastor.
Sorry.
Well, holler at him.
Yeah, you can
I'm
yell.
going to, yeah, I holler too much anyway.
That's
Okay.
what Dave says.
Okay. It says, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that each one may receive what is due him for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad." You know, that's where we're gonna be accountable for what we did, good or bad. You know, and
Well, everything that we do for Christ will last forever.
right.
Everything else will perish.
And the part of that that's important is that's where the good works come in. It's not, we're not doing them to enter into heaven, but we will be judged by the works that we do. If we claim that we're Christians and we say that we're saved and go out and do evil things, we're not going to reap the rewards for those.
And make up evil ways.
Right. Yeah, and just come up with evil things to do. New, fun, and eventful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that day, God's going to remove the old heaven and the old earth because all corrupt and the corruption and sin, and then He's going to create the new heaven and new earth. God had got rid of anything that will allow sin to come back in. You know, the devil was sent into the lake of fire, and
Wonder if it was hot there.
well, what do you think?
No.
Sometimes you have to ask the hard questions, you know?
A lake of fire.
Seems impossible, really.
It does.
But,
Like, what does that look like?
yeah.
I'm thinking lava.
yeah, me too.
Like that.
Like
Is that what you said?
When
That
you were, like the floor is lava.
like the floor is lava. Exactly. Like, do you remember going to the mall? Now I'm off topic. Reel me back in a second. And you used to jump from color to color because
Yep.
it was the floor was lava.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I envision when I think of the
That's-
lake
Yeah.
of
Yeah, but
fire.
aren't you? Wouldn't we get tired of jumping?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
your legs would
very
hurt
true.
after a while. And I learned that even as an adult with really long legs, I can't make some of those leaps.
No.
I've spilled onto the floor before. It's really embarrassing.
Well, there would be big rocks that were hot,
Melt your shoes.
and the lava would, the flames would be coming, and then you would try and jump from rock to rock.
Bad episode of Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
It'd be a really bad Bowser's Castle. No thanks. Sorry, Roger. Go ahead.
I always try to picture Satan like, is he flailing his arms, falling backward into the flames, or or is he like doing just a
I feel like-
face plant?
I feel like
or
he's in it. Just
Belly
like,
flop.
You know,
Belly flop.
Yeah, that's how I picture it. Like,
I think he's in it,
Me
Sam.
too. I think he's like in the, and it's like he's the perfect storm under it all. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
I picture Bowser literally every time, like the Super
Kicking
Mario,
his little feet when the bridge
Super
falls
Mario
away.
64 Bowser, like that kind of.
Oh, the original.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
I should have been flipping my pages.
Yeah, you've let us get off on a tangent now, and if you're not ready to
Yeah,
go,
don't let
it's-
us get off on Super
it's
Mario.
gonna
bro.
get ugly.
Yeah.
It's
Get
gonna
bad.
get ugly.
Well, I can't play Super Mario because it don't work on my phone.
Here's the bad part. I wish he was joking, but he
he's
has
not.
no idea what we're talking about, and he thinks that you play it on your phone. That's the beautiful part.
You probably can.
No, you can't. Well, they
Not-
have a Super Mario Run game, but it's not
the
Mario.
six- yeah. Okay.
No.
No.
Not the same.
Nope.
What were you doing in the 80s, Roger?
Working.
Well, that's boring.
Just, okay.
I was being a kid wreaking havoc on the town.
Little do you know, in the 80s, I was working 2 jobs.
Supplying a life for
Yeah.
For a
his family.
Boring.
I was always trying to save the princess, but she was always in another castle.
Always in another castle.
I was working for my princess.
Building a castle.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Brownie points for
Yeah,
Roger.
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. She's laid up at home, certainly listening to this. Now she's
Yes.
stuck hearing that.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's more.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. She's like, okay.
She's cringing.
See her go, oh boy.
He's gonna go home and go, honey, did you listen to the podcast tonight?
I'm going to.
She's
Hey,
gonna see
this
my
is
prince.
we are at minute 16, so you can just fast forward to about minute 16 and let her hear that part,
There you
and then
go.
you can
There
turn
you
it
go.
off. She doesn't need to listen to the rest.
Okay.
You better not tell her we were talking about her.
All good things, Linda. All good things.
Okay. Here's another passage of the people that we need to stay away from. In Romans 1:29 and 31. I'll give everybody a chance to get there.
Romans 1:29.
Yeah.
29. There's 28. There we go.
I'm going to start at 28.
Oh, you dirty dog.
It says, furthermore, since they did not think of worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, he gave them over to the depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. I think I read this before.
Yeah,
It's okay.
very similar.
It's okay. It's good stuff.
It needed to be read again. That's how important it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, what a train wreck we are.
Hey, we are here. We are here to glorify the Lord
Yep.
Amen.
and to fellowship.
Yep.
And have a good time.
And I think that one of my favorite things about this is that we can laugh with each other. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we're 5 very different people, and you put us in the room, and we can still laugh about. And
Yeah.
it's the same with me and Holly. You put Holly and I up there for announcements on Sunday morning.
gosh.
You have no idea what's about to happen. We don't know when we go up there what's going to happen, but it always goes sideways. It's usually about food too.
Comical though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, laughter's a good medicine.
I agree.
Yes.
You know, if someone comes into the sanctuary and being kind of down and sad,
They won't last long with us.
well, I mean, as soon as the laughter starts,
Yep.
you can't help but laugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget about what you're thinking about or what you're down about. So, but
Can
anyway,
I read the New Living Translation real quick? Just share. I want to share the.
Roger's
you got
at-
it.
yeah,
you've
Roger's
got
in
an
the NIV.
NIV.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So this one says their lives became full of every kind of wickedness, sin, greed, hate, envy, murder, quarreling, deception, malicious behavior, and gossip. They are backstabbers, haters of God, insolent, proud, and boastful. They invent new ways of sinning, and they disobey their parents. Easton, listen. They refuse to understand, break their promises, are heartless, and have no mercy. They know God's justice requires that those who do these things deserve to die, yet they do them anyway. Worse yet, they encourage others to do them too. So the reason I wanted to read that was I don't know that yours says all of those same
No, it
particular
doesn't.
words.
No, it sounds like a lot more like aligning up with today's world. I think.
Correct, and that's
Yeah.
why I liked this particular one. Backstabbers, haters of God, and
The gossip.
that's probably
Yeah.
one of the biggest. Insolent, proud, and boastful. Those are all like, look at the unsaved today. That's I mean, they're very clear indications of what's going on in the world.
And
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of gossiping goes on. You know, a lot of untruths.
And
Facebook, I think, is the worst place.
well, and
Right, Alva? Get off of that Facebook.
and I think that's we talk about it a lot, but I think that's why the world has become as wicked as it has. Is it's been so easy
Yep.
to get information that's not true, and we don't know if it's true, and we don't. Let's be honest, most of us don't do the research to find out.
No.
We just share it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this is a big one for me, and it's intentional. So these traps are set intentionally. But like, if you hop on to like one of those Facebook selling pages, and you'll be like, "Hey, if anybody knows whose puppy this is, it got hit by a car. Share this, please." Right?
Yeah.
And then everybody shares this post about a puppy that's been hit by a car, but it's spam. And here's what they do: they share the post. Everybody, they get 3,000 shares on this post. And then they go back and they edit the post to be like a sales post or a spam link that you'll
yeah.
click on and then get viruses. Because once you've shared it, every time they edit it, it's still being shared
Yeah.
through your page. So it's intentionally
Right,
done to prey on tenderhearted people who will continue to share it, but it's all predatory.
Yes.
And
Is
so-
it any coincidence that most of the beasts and serpents in Revelation have more than one head? They have multiple heads,
No, it's not.
and that's kind of how Facebook is. You know,
Yeah.
it grows,
Yeah, there's more-
just
Florence-
keeps growing more heads. And
Always. Yep. She always called it to Facebook. Always. Because
Yeah.
she's like, you have this perfect world that you pretend to present on Facebook.
Facebook, yep.
And then the life that you live is
Yep.
chaotic and messy and destroyed, but you don't share that side with anybody, which is also why the world suffers with depression and
Yep.
anxiety and self-image
yeah.
issues and things like that, because you see all of these
You're
famous
comparing
people
others.
online who are have these perfect lives, but they've been divorced 47 times.
Right.
You just don't necessarily see all
Yeah.
of those things.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So
But I mean, you know, we just need to be careful on what we do, what we say, and who we hang around with, and we need to get into the Word more and study it more. It tells you in there who you're supposed to be around,
Surrounded by. Yeah.
and how you're supposed to act. So
Well, and so far to me, it sounds like a good part of hell means that you will never escape the sins of this world.
sure.
no,
You know, all those things that you've mentioned and talked about. Well, that's what you receive is just
And
an
it-
eternity
And
of
it's
the
only gonna
same
be
Yeah.
worse, I think.
sins and
It's
Yeah.
like Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day, just
Yeah.
everything's just on repeat. Like, and they say it's going to be dark and it's going to be hot. You know, all of those things, like all of the descriptions. But when you think about the torture that
Yeah.
comes with that, like everything is on repeat. It's
And, like,
screaming
eternity.
and gnashing of teeth
Yes.
and all of the eternal darkness and all of those things. And you don't really like. That's just what you.
Okay,
But it's not even scary stuff that preys on people's minds.
No.
It's
Uh-uh.
that simple gossip. And
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it leaks into other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that could just tear somebody up. I mean,
Okay.
well, and since you brought, because I didn't want to forget this, the gnashing of teeth, that's mentioned quite a bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for just a second. Explain that. So exactly.
I picture it as
What-
grinding.
I was going to say, Chase is like Sydney's grinding at night.
yeah, that's like a
But yeah,
gnashing of
that's
teeth.
what I pictured.
Is like.
You guys are in my stuff.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was actually thinking it when we started. I'm like, she needs to stop us because we're going to get off track. Can we come back to it, Nick?
Yes.
I'll get to it.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
all right.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay,
Roger.
Roger, your thought.
I have one question, Holly. Michael mentioned, the darkness, but if there's a lake of fire, doesn't the fire give
Oh.
off light?
Or is it
Not in hell, it doesn't.
Or is it
It's
just-
dark
it's
fire.
just
It's just
burning
going to
heat,
be
like,
hot. Okay, Holly, take it away.
Take it away.
Okay. Well, to start off with, I'm going to back the truck up a bit.
Okay. Beep, beep.
We're backing up. Now I want to start with Isaiah. If I can get my stuff together here. Isaiah 14, 12 through 14. Ta-da. And it says, this will help.
Wait, I'm not there. I can't even find it in my digital Bible. They think they took Isaiah out of mine.
Say there.
Say there. Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get there. I don't know if I'm blind or what. There it is. And what was the passage? It was
12, was it?
Isaiah 14,
14.
12, and
'Kay.
so on.
I'm there.
So it says, it says, how you are falling from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations, for you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Here are the eyes. That's pride. I will exalt the throne above the stars of God. I will also set on the mount of the congregation. On the furthest side of the north, I will ascend above the highest of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Shiloh, to the lowest depths of the pit. And so, Satan totally operated in pride.
Sure.
Anybody who talks about that song, occasionally I want to talk about me.
Toby Keith.
Old Toby Keith song. That's a throwback.
Yeah, so
So catchy, too.
all those look what I did. Look what
Talk
I
about
want to
me.
do.
Yeah.
Look
Right.
what I can
Yep.
do. And so in Luke 10:18 it says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from the heaven. So that was Jesus that said that. And so that tells me that Lucifer was kicked out of heaven at least before generation, at least before Genesis 3, when Satan caused all that problem
Right.
in the garden.
Yeah, because that's when he would have been on earth.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that Satan wanted to be Lord of all. He wanted to rule the kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was and then God, he catches on to this and
It's like,
that
not
ain't
today,
happening.
Satan.
Not today, And so Satan definitely operated in pride, rebellion, and loftiness, thinking more highly of himself than he ought. How many people do we know like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And this is the sad thing of it all, is that those spirits still rule and reign in men and women today
Oh, yeah.
up on this earth.
Yes. And I think that you could even look at pastors who are televangelists most of the time, and I say that because they're public figures, people see them more often than
Yeah.
not, who are doing that exact same thing. Well, my ministry, well, I do, well, we do,
Well, look
well,
what
we
I'm doing.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a video of Kenneth Copeland. Somebody had stopped him. He was getting into his SUV. He's got 5 guys surrounding him,
Yeah.
and he's going to get into the SUV. And they ask him about his private jet, and he says, well, wouldn't God want me to travel safely? And they're questioning, wouldn't it be easier for you to take a commercial flight? It would be less harmful to and he does the most bizarre thing that I have ever seen in my life. He starts speaking in tongues as if God is speaking to him in that moment to tell them that what he is doing is right. And you can see the look on his face that he is just trying to get out of this
stunned,
situation
yeah.
as fast as humanly possible. Like he's trying to get into the car, but they keep asking questions and he didn't know what else to do. And I thought to myself, how dangerous is that?
People like that.
Whenever we
Exactly.
become so consumed with our own wants and our own desires that we can fake a move of God so that we can get attention for ourselves or we can have what it is that
Right.
we want. Bizarre to me.
Yeah, so it said, in Proverbs 16, this is what this says, that these are the things that the Lord hates. But I'm having issues because I can't see.
She needs 2 pairs of glasses.
Right. The 6 things the Lord hates. Seven are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that has a wicked plan, feet that are swift and running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren. And so, of course, that's everything that he does.
Yeah. It's his specialty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially sowing seeds of discord
Oh yeah.
through the, and I a thing in my heart of hearts is that God hates a liar, and I just think even little white lies.
Well, yeah, because they turn into much
Oh,
bigger ones.
I have a question then.
Yeah.
I have a question. So if my kids catch me on Christmas Eve
I knew you were going to
putting
bring
presents, because it's like
Yeah, it's-
what do I do? Like I have two options, and so like, I struggle with that, but I always have. Like, do you? If my kid comes in and says, "Is Santa Claus real?" What am I supposed to say? I'm not about to have that conversation.
Well, he lives in my heart.
There's always a spin, I guess. There's always a spin. I'm gonna start
didn't
calling
say
Holly
yes,
for
you
my
didn't say
spin.
no.
Yeah, I
Wash
think,
your mouth out right now. He's real.
I didn't say he wasn't. I never said that. I never said that.
Uh-oh.
Well, hopefully we don't have any children.
Nobody said he wasn't real. I believe Santa's real. I believe Santa's real.
Yeah, he still brings me stuff.
He
I
brings-
still put the carrots out, and
Bring carrots. Santa doesn't eat carrots.
well, his reindeer do.
Oh, okay. I don't feed the
still
reindeer.
hear the
Oh.
bell ring.
I don't. You don't hear the bell ring, or
I
you do?
do.
He
Oh, okay.
does.
I don't.
He does.
I don't feed the reindeer though.
That's terrible.
They're working
They're
reindeer.
the
They are
fuel.
service reindeer. You don't feed a service dog. You don't feed a service reindeer. They need to get back in the sky. Santa's got stuff to do.
But it's healthy. It's
Okay.
not cookies. It's carrots.
Well, no, you can't feed. Can you feed a dog chocolate? No, you can't feed a. Oh my gosh! No, don't put cookies out to feed the reindeer.
No, I'm saying carrots.
Santa's cold. He needs the extra weight. Gosh. Do you not know anything about Santa Claus?
I don't have children, so
Oh,
apparently
okay.
not.
All
It's
right.
been a minute.
He don't even come to my house.
No, he doesn't. He just like
He tries to call me, but my phone don't work.
He just throws rocks at the window on his way by.
It's like, Roger, here's your lump of
Yeah, hi
gruel.
Santa.
All right, sorry, Holly. Go ahead.
Alrighty.
Wow.
And so then, John 10:10 says that Satan come to do but one thing, to kill, steal, and destroy.
That's right.
And when he fell, he did not fall. God casted him out.
Yes.
Because of his evil ways. And when he came to earth, I believe that he brought all of those spirits, a third. It doesn't say that they fell with him, but they went with him.
Mm-hmm.
A third of the angels went with him to become demons, and 2/3 stayed in heaven to be holy. And so what all came with that? Let's just think. Self-righteousness, haughtiness, bragging, arrogance, entitlement. Oh, that spirit of
Yeah.
entitlement. I mean, it rolls and reigns upon this earth.
Yeah.
Sure
Especially
does.
now.
And it has gotten worse,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
as time has gone on.
yeah.
I think that's
the
been.
last 5 years.
He's found that one is a great tool to operate in.
Yeah.
Because again, I always hate saying this, but the younger generations always feel like they have some level of self-importance that they don't really have, but they feel like they do, and so then there's an entitlement. Like
Right.
I deserve to have nice things even though I don't have a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I deserve to be praised.
Yes,
You know,
Yeah.
I deserve God's mercy.
even though I do nothing,
I
and
was gonna
Well, and you
then
say
don't
a
have
third
relationship with
chose on their own to go with them.
yeah,
Him. Yeah.
Well, how many people do you know that basically say, well, if I'm doing it, I'll be doing it in hell with my buddies.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got plenty of people that think it's,
We'll be chugging Bud Lights, and
Yeah.
like they think it's a
and
joke.
they go through
think
their whole
it's
life
some-
thinking,
yeah,
this
Yeah.
is just the way it's going to be.
yep, yep.
So here's how it's going to be. When you go
I have a
to
feeling
hell.
this isn't going to be fun.
Nope.
Well, this is how I'm really okay. So let's just say you die, you leave your body, and now when you come to you, whoever you are at that point in time, and you are in total, utter darkness, nothing. There's nothing, and that is a place of judgment, of no return. And then you get, I'm sure, in the midst of that, you're thinking, well, what about that Jesus?
Sure.
What about
Why didn't he
Hey,
love us
hey,
all?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesus, can you help me?
That's
too
your
late.
Lazarus story.
Yep.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah.
Jesus, can you help me?
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, I'm sorry. I never knew
I never knew you.
Yep.
Now, that's a reality. Now, think. This person, wait, is it their spirit? Is floating in nothingness because it says it is a bottomless pit. And so are they eternally looking and waiting to hit the bottom, or are they just constantly? And then there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. And they're hearing that continuously for eternity.
That's
I
what
can't
gets me,
stand
like,
to hear my kids say, "Hey mom, hey mom, hey mom, hey mom," more than 5 or 6
That would be
times
your hell.
before I lose my cool. Like I can't imagine if you hear weeping and the gnashing of teeth. Like it's never ending.
I sometimes think like even and I've always thought this, like even in heaven, like, oh, we're gonna get bored, like eternity, like that's such a
It's a long
that's
time.
a long time, but I can't even fathom in hell. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, then the weeping is regret. It's the regret of
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands of people who did not choose the Lord. So they are regretting with weeping. Do you ever hear somebody weep? I mean, weep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a horrible
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
And then what? There's no source of help. And I'm sure old Satan's over there going,
And you thought it was gonna be a party.
yeah, we're all going to have some Bud Lights down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the mashing of teeth is utter despair. That lost soul is in utter despair with no way out, no help, no nothing. Just maybe thinking about what I should have done.
Yeah.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
And then, they set themselves apart from the grace of God. And they are forever going to be in that bottomless pit with no place, no help, nothing that's going to save them. And so to me, tonight is an invitation that if you do not know the Lord Jesus Christ, tonight's the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your invitation
That's right.
to come to the Lord.
And the conversation that I always have is there's no better day, but today is the best day.
Amen.
Yesterday was good.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be okay. But today is the best day because none of that is guaranteed beyond this very moment. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like the lake of fire. Just to think about that, the heat alone, that would be so, make you feel so despaired. There have to be feelings in hell.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And so, they're just constantly in that turmoil. And it says that torment comes with fear. And so there must be fear, anxiety,
Yeah.
stress. I believe that everything that you fought here on earth will be just magnified
Yeah.
in hell.
Yeah.
So I've never done this. I want to be very clear that I've never done this, but I'm told that if you do illicit drugs like acid and things like that, like psychedelic drugs,
Yeah.
that's exactly how it is. That everything that you
I've
fear
heard that
is
it's like almost like you're kind of looking down, like
right. Everything is like amplified.
Yeah.
And so can you imagine like living eternity like that? Everything that you struggle with, everything that you've like for me, and I think of this, the giant frogs and toads. And I'm not like, it's funny, but
Yeah.
like I am so afraid of those now that if they were magnified, how frightening would that be for all eternity? Not like once or twice,
Yeah.
but forever. Yeah.
Well, what if you were into, let's say, gross sin? Constantly. The gross sin would be all about
Yeah.
you. Just pressing on you
Yep.
from all around.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And like, I just can't get over how it would just be magnified. Everything that tormented us here on earth, like stress and anxiety. Like when we had the women's banquet, I don't know, but that really stressed me.
Sure.
And I woke up and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And it took me half a day.
Yeah. See, I've only had a panic attack one time, and it was because I was on an antidepressant, and actually I was at New Point Church. I was trying a new church out, and before I came here, and I just had a panic, and like that was the only time I had it, and I was like, I never want to have that ever again. It was awful, and like I can't imagine. And I mean, some people have those regularly, like
That would be your life. Yeah.
yes, and then like doing that in hell, having it magnified, like oh.
Like some people are like, go to the emergency room. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I can't breathe. But you can.
So can I share this anxiety story?
Mm-hmm.
So I've never had like serious anxiety, panic attacks, never, ever, ever in my entire life have I ever had
Yeah.
that happen except for one time. And I swore that I was going to die because I had never experienced it before.
Well, a lot of people think they're having heart attacks.
So
Right.
that's exactly what
Yep.
happened to me. So I had, do you guys remember when I fell through that bunk bed years ago? Like I fell through the,
Yep.
I've got a thing with falling through
I was gonna
stuff.
say.
Just a real quick story. I was helping a friend move. I was standing on top of the bed, taking the bolts out of it. Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner moment. The bed went to collapse. I realized what was happening as it was happening. I held up my little help sign. My body dropped and then my head flew directly after that. I landed directly on my shoulder, landed on the side of my head. And when I realized I was the only one there at the time, when I realized what had happened, I thought for sure I was dead. It hurt so bad. I was pretty confident that my arm was out of, like my shoulder was out of socket. Like I was like, I couldn't move my fingers. I was like, oh, this is bad. This is real bad. I crawled over to my phone. I called Alyssa, and I'm laughing at this point because it's kind of stupid.
Right.
I get up, go on my way, do my thing. I drive home that night, and I get lost. I've driven this road 1 million times, and I can't get home. And I didn't even realize I was lost until it was much too late. I
Yeah.
called Alyssa, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. Like, I have no idea where I am.
Probably like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to explain to her, I'm like, I left Kelly. I remembered leaving her house, but I didn't remember leaving her house until that point. And then like, I was like, whoa, what happened? So she had to call me, like she had to figure out where I was and help get me home. Once I realized, like once I was at Cambridge, I was kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, my mind is coming back. I was able to get home. So they did a CAT scan after I'd fallen, and they're like, well, we see some spots. We want to send you to a neurologist. Now, they call me on a Friday afternoon at like 4:00 in the afternoon to tell me that I need to see a neurologist because they're afraid that there's something wrong. So I can't get an appointment.
No.
So now I've got this anxiety of waiting. So Monday comes, I go to work and I'm sitting at my desk and I can't breathe. I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. I'm going to die. So my mom takes me to the emergency room and I'm explaining to the lady what's happening. She takes me back to the room and she's like, it looks like you've just had a panic attack. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Like, you're sure?
Like, you're positive I'm not going to die? Because I'm pretty confident I'm going to die right now. She's like, nah, you're good. I promise you're okay. And I couldn't, like,
Yeah.
people live with that.
Yeah.
Every day.
If it wasn't for me knowing, because I think I started that antidepressant like 3 days before that, and they said I could have some side effects like
Yeah.
that. And if it wasn't for me knowing that, like, I would have thought the same thing, because I'm like, I can get out of this. But yeah, I was like, this feels like it's never going to end.
Yeah.
Like,
It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Scariest. It was worse than falling through the bed. There was no physical pain with it.
Yeah.
But just like, I didn't know what to do with myself. It was wild. Wild. Okay, off topic. Sorry. I've shared my story now.
So anyhow, I just in hell, there's no return. It's forever and ever and ever. And I just think that I can't get it out, guys. Somebody help me, Nick.
Somebody help me, Nick.
Nick.
Well, again, just imagine all your struggles in this life. You don't ever ask Jesus for help. You go your whole life trying to do it by yourself. You know, Satan's going to take every advantage of that.
Oh, yeah.
So in hell, like you're saying, everything is going to be magnified. Whatever it is that has haunted you your whole entire life, it's going to haunt you tenfold.
Yeah.
Right?
And and as Holly said, there's absolutely no escape,
There's
which
no
is
going back there.
absolutely that's unfathomable
Yeah.
to think that is the case, but it is.
Well, and even, we're all sitting here thinking that we're saved, but it's like we all have loved ones who we know
Right.
are not saved, and that could happen to them.
Yeah. And I think that should be the number one motivator for Christians to tell people
Yes.
about Jesus.
Yes.
And I've said this in some of my sermons, and just to share the story with people who are listening to whether it's this podcast or hearing the story for the first time. But does everybody know who Penn Jillette is? He's a magician. Penn and Teller.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's Penn Jillette. And he is an atheist.
Okay.
He's a professed atheist, and he doesn't have any qualms with it. But here's what he says about Christians. He says, if you believe that Jesus Christ is who he says he is, how much do you have to hate a person not to tell him about him? So if I every day walk through life and tell nobody about Jesus, how much do I have to hate those people because they could be unsaved, waiting to get saved, hoping to be saved, but not knowing where to go, and I haven't told them about Jesus?
And that's coming from an atheist.
Right.
You know,
And this is a guy who will tell you, I don't think that God is real, but I think that if you believe that God is real, you should be telling me about God every chance you get.
Exactly.
So is that a cry for help?
Well, I believe that. I do believe that. I think that he is going to see the light in having those conversations with people.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, if he can say that out loud, he's got to believe something. Right? He's
Well,
got to believe that there's some level of...
I think that's like God in his conscious, like
Sure.
asking
Yeah.
or stating that to
Yeah.
everyone just so more conversations couldn't open up for him.
Well, what depresses me so much, though, is there's so many people, you see them with tattoos, and they have tattoos of pentagrams on their arms, whatever. And it's almost like they've been led to believe it's a part of pop culture.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
this is a cool thing.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and that's sad.
Yeah.
That these people,
Especially-
that Satan has got them to the point where they think, yeah, this is a cool thing. It's a good time.
Especially how Michael says, like, this is the first generation where
First post-church generation.
post-church generation, and we're seeing this more now than ever.
Yep.
And like, wonder why.
And a lot of times it seems like they're not even really hateful people. They're just completely misled.
Well, here's what they want. It's a show me generation.
Oh, yeah.
They want proof. Now, I can say, well, prove that he isn't real. And that's not my burden to bear. You're telling me he is. It's your burden to bear. I want to see the ark. I want to see
Yeah.
physical proof
Yeah.
of your Jesus. And I always tell people whenever they say that, I don't have to give you physical proof because I am physical proof.
That's right.
Right.
Like, this is physical proof because 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, challenge something I say and I'll punch you in the nose. Do you know what I mean? Like, my life is different, and it's not because of anything I've done. I am still the same fleshly
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
that I was 10 years ago.
Right. Right.
But my spirit is different because I've allowed God to do a work that I wouldn't have been able to do myself.
Yourself. Yeah.
Like, I joke about a lot of things. Like, a lot of people know this about me. I always say I don't like kids. This is entirely untrue. If I didn't like kids, I wouldn't have 5 of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I love my kids dearly. And rah, I mean, like, I don't have a choice but to like her. She's not giving me an option, is she? But it's funny because, like, all of the kids, and if I didn't like kids, they wouldn't flock to me the way
Right,
that they do.
right.
Like, typically, if I
Yeah.
sit down and there are kids in the room, they want to climb on me.
Yes.
And it's so... I can joke about those things, but God does something wonderful with children through me, and it's really different to think about. I wouldn't have been that person 10 years ago,
Yeah.
but God has done something amazing in my life. So I don't. First post-church generation, meaning they don't want to be in a physical building. They want to have church in a different way, and they want you to show them the Jesus that you serve. So they need a tangible something, which is why the church has turned from the gospel to entertainment. And the majority of churches now want to entertain people through video screens and laser lights
Well,
and
because they're looking at the rest of the culture.
fog machines. Exactly. And I get that. So this is something that I'll never agree with, ever, never, ever, 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 ever. And you can never convince me to agree with it. It is a mega church who goes on tour. Okay. Now here's the reason I will never agree with it, because you have to buy a ticket to get in. If I charged admission at the door, nobody would come here on Sunday morning,
No,
right?
no.
So you're not truly desiring to preach the gospel. You're desiring to turn a profit. There's a difference there. And I don't understand that. And so I'll never agree with it. And I'm not saying anybody who goes, you shouldn't. I'm saying, for me,
It's not your cup of
I
tea.
won't go
Yeah.
because I'm not going to give you $79 to see Stephen Furtick preach and to listen to Elevation Worship sing a couple of songs.
Right.
I can watch the videos on YouTube
Yep.
and I can listen to a message in a local church
Yep.
for FREE.
Yeah. It's almost just as powerful.
Well, to me, it's equally as powerful
point.
because I want to have connection.
Yes.
I don't want to just...
Yeah, those people are becoming the Pharisees.
Right,
They're-
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It becomes more about saying, oh, well, and I just heard on the Message Radio on Sirius XM, they were talking about, they were interviewing one of the worship team members from Elevation, and they were on their stadium tour. And I was with somebody in the car, and I said, that's something, they're non-saved person, by the way. They just happened to be in my car when it came on. I said, that's something that you will never convince me to understand. And they're like, what's that? I said, how a mega church can profit off of a stadium tour. Like Taylor Swift, I get it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's an entertainer. That's her job. But as a pastor, it is your job to save people, not charge people for it.
No kidding.
Like if
Yeah.
I said every person that wants to get a healing this Sunday needs to pay $50, I bet we wouldn't pray for a lot of people, would we?
No.
Like that's we're not here to turn a profit. We're here to save lives. We're here to turn people to Jesus. It's just mind blowing to me that's what the world has become. That's what the church has become.
Yep.
And that's why people don't like us. That's why we get a bad name. Because we're too concerned about listen, everybody sitting in this room, everybody except for Roger, because he doesn't show up to council meetings.
Phone didn't work.
Phone didn't work. We all know the state of the finances of this church.
Oh, yeah.
And they are not wonderful.
No.
We are not in any way afraid of having to close the doors or anything like that. But this church has never operated with huge capital. But we've never needed to.
No.
That's right.
God has always provided everything that we have ever needed. And so I don't know what these other churches are doing. Like, why do you need $350 million? Like, what are you doing with it? Where are you pouring that back into the community?
They're not.
They're not. They're sitting on it in case,
Exactly.
something comes up. Well, what could possibly come up? Like,
You need to build
Well,
a
it's
new
not
building.
American Express. It should be Jesus, don't leave home without him.
yes, right. Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's true. You're exactly
But
right. Yeah.
We're operating in a different way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. What else you got, Holly?
Well, I would say this is back in our conversation a little bit, but like with you said on the tattoos, what you call that? A
Pentagram?
Yeah. Well, Satan comes as the big deceiver, and he is the master of deception. And so, like sugar skulls, but they're pretty.
Yeah.
But I don't think those are God.
Yeah. No,
Right,
I agree.
right.
But,
I agree.
but do you see how he just twists everything?
Yeah.
Like he was God's most beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
And if he's going to come after you, he ain't going to come after you looking shabby.
Right.
No.
He's going to send something nice and shiny,
Yeah.
something that's going to get your attention and get you distracted.
Yep.
So, of course, then you will fall away from the grace of God and end up in his pit of hell.
Yeah.
But, we have to be very careful of deception because it comes in every shape and form.
Yep.
And, you got to truly have your spirit man alive and well that you don't get caught up in it. Because it happens so, I don't know how many times I've said to you, Pastor Michael, I can't believe he's just tripped me up. And I try to be so careful that don't happen.
What I was in the point that you're almost going to make, and I'm going to jump in and maybe you were going to get there, but it's that if we are not cognizant and aware of our shortcomings, the things that turn our head, then we will quickly trip and fall. And most of the time won't even realize it happened. Like, Holly is so hyper aware of it. As soon as it happens, she's like, I can't believe I fell for that. I can't believe I fell for that. But there are so many more of us who go, oh, well, that was fun. That was interesting. Like, we don't even think about what it is that he is trying to do in our lives, the destruction that he's trying to create, and how easy it is to fall for it because we have no self-awareness of our weaknesses. Like, mine is, I have an addictive personality. I know that, like, if you handed me a cigarette right now, I would be smoking cigarettes again. I can't do it. It's not who I am. I don't gamble for that reason. Like, I will not. I don't even go to Chuck E. Cheese because when I go, like, I want to spend all the money. I want to spend all the money. Like, I've got $10 left. I can certainly win something with $10.
Side note, did you know you can now what is it?
You get hours worth of
Yes.
play for a certain dollar
Yeah,
amount.
you
Yes,
can do
I did
it.
know that. Thank you very much. It's not helping.
Oh,
It's not helping.
I'm just saying.
But I know that those are shortcomings of mine.
Right.
And so if I say to somebody, and here's the thing, we do at work, we do this thing called a land cruise. And the last 3 we have had in-house casino. So we hire a company, they come in and they play for fun money. It's not real money, and they win stuff. And they're like, hey, you should go and play with some of the passengers. And I'm like, nope. because I won't let these people leave.
Not opening that door.
Right.
Yeah.
I will sit here all day long. Don't care what it costs. I will sit here all day long because there's just something about my mind that once that dopamine starts and once I'm triggered, I don't stop.
Are you sure you don't have ADHD?
No, I probably do. Here's the thing. I can say I don't because I've never been diagnosed.
Wow,
so
okay.
Yeah, we didn't diagnose
yeah.
things like that.
no,
in
not
our
when we were
day.
growing up. No,
No, no.
exactly. Like
You can
if
still
COVID,
get diagnosed right now. I just got diagnosed not long ago.
if COVID,
but-
well, right, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to go, so I won't find
You're
out.
like, I don't need to go.
If COVID would have been a thing in the 80s, we would have never known because they're like, oh,
Right,
you got a
right.
cough, knock it off.
Yeah.
Like, right,
Back outside.
My mom would have given
Get some
me
fresh air.
My mom would have given me a little bit of whiskey maybe, and been like, you're fine, knock it off. I don't want to hear it. Like, just so I sleep at night. That's all that. But
Yep.
it was a different life
Oh,
then.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's so much like we didn't grow up thinking about all of the things that the world owed us. Like we were taught to work for whatever, like
Right.
Yeah.
we had paper routes and we mowed grass and we shoveled sidewalks and things like that. This generation that we're raising right now, and I will tell you, I have 2 kids. One of my second oldest, if you say to him, hey, do you want $20? He's like, yeah, I'll take $20. Okay,
Earn it.
go clean out the driveway, which is putting 3 bikes away. Nope, don't want $20 that bad. He won't do it.
Yeah.
There's no amount of money that persuades him to do anything. He is the kid who will live in my basement at 35 years old. And I'm not like,
Yeah.
it's a choice that he's going to make, but eventually he'll have to grow out of that.
Right,
It's taking them longer at
Yes,
this
too mature.
to get
Yep.
to that level of maturity. And it's even worse for boys. Boys are way harder to get
Well,
to
boys are. It takes longer for them to mature anyway.
naturally. That's what I
Naturally.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so much harder now.
Yeah, I still haven't matured.
Me either. Me either.
So we just really have to be careful of the enemy's
Yeah.
strategies.
Yep.
And here are a few: distractions, doubt, discouragement, delay, defeat. But the word of God can destroy them all.
Okay, so delay. Does that mean people who run late?
No,
Okay. All right. Holly's like, it can't be that. It can't mean that.
no. That can't be. That could not be.
He's like, no.
That was a quick no.
But we do have to be very careful because what the enemy wants to do is steal our salvation and have us all in a pit of hell.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, that's his plan.
Yep.
Just like God has a plan, so does he.
Yep.
And he'll use anything, distractions. He'll use your kids. He'll
Yeah.
use your husband. He'll use your friends. He'll use your coworkers just to slip you up.
Yep.
And see, like, some people slip up and they're like la-di-da. Like when I slip up, I'm taking that serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm before God and I'm repenting and I'm sorry. But a lot of people don't even get that. Just whoosh.
It's really fascinating for me with Holly is for those of you who don't know her, she contemplates everything very heavily. And so if something happens that she's involved in and if it bothers her even in the slightest, she always calls me to tell me like, hey, this happened. I don't want it to be a problem. And not like that she thinks that I'm mad at her, but like, let's say something happened in the women's group and somebody said something cross to somebody else. She always makes me aware of that because she knows what that can turn into.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If we're not all on the same page with those types of things. And there are some people who that happens to and they're like, oh, well, whatever. And then when it blows up, they're like, well, why did nobody see this coming? Well, it's because you didn't say anything.
Yeah. And it could have been stopped.
Right. It
Yeah.
could have been resolved much
Yeah.
earlier than it was. So
I'm always like, I'm going to give you a little heads up.
yeah. Here's the thing. If I get a text at 9:30 at night, if I wake up to a 9:30 p.m. text that says, "Hey, can you talk?" I'm always like, "Uh-oh."
It's like, oh my gosh.
But it's never like usually my mind don't ever say to me, "Can we talk?"
I know.
Oh my gosh, that creates this level of anxiety like you have never known.
Even Stephanie Caldwell even texted me today, and I know like she texted me about a week and a half ago about something else.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, anytime, like just I'm
Yeah.
here, whatever. And I'm like, I know that's what she's probably wanting to talk about, but it just made me like, no.
Right. Did she send you your name in all capital letters?
I don't think this time, but she normally does.
Yeah, it's normally how Stephanie starts a text with me. It usually says Michael with about 100 L's at the
Yes.
end. And I'm like, you could just say, hey, what's up? That would be a lot easier for me. Because that when she does, and it doesn't matter what she's sending, that's how she responds. And it stresses me out. Like it gives me wicked anxiety because I'm like, something is wrong.
Does she
Something
know
is
that? Does
terrible.
she know that?
Which is why she does it, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. What was I? There was a point to that.
What were
I don't
you
know.
just-
It's a goner.
I know.
Well, that's
Hello?
that thought. That's
Hello?
that thought.
Oh, you were saying like, the late night text messages.
Oh, yeah. So if I get that text, I like my mind immediately, when I wake up in the
Yes.
morning, my mind starts to reel. And so I'll text her and be like, hey, I'm on the road to work. And then whenever she calls me, we talk it through. And usually it's not as bad as my mind has
right,
perceived it to
right.
be. But that's the confusion that the enemy likes to
Yes,
use.
yeah.
Because it would be super easy for him to like get into my head to say, you know what? Enough's enough. Just don't change your phone number. Don't talk to her anymore. You know what I mean? Like it would be, because that's what like that's what the enemy wants. Because
or even telling Holly, hey, I don't need to know about all that stuff. But really,
right,
we do. Yeah.
So when a prophet and an apostle get together, big things can happen because Holly is seeing things that then we have to put into perspective and we have to figure out how to make those things work. It would, God forbid, we were to ever stop operating like that, because if that were to happen, things will crumble quickly
Yeah.
because it becomes chaotic.
I was going to say
right.
pure
You know,
chaos.
that apostle spirit, like it's my way or the highway. I've decided how this is going to work and we've got to make this happen, but not listening to somebody who's hearing from heaven directly.
Right.
I take that information and we mold it into what ministry is going to be like.
Yeah.
If I stop listening to what she's hearing and seeing, then it becomes about my message and my desires and not about kingdom message and kingdom desire. So
Right.
it's a balancing act. It really is. It really is. Do we have any other thoughts? Because I have a question that I want to ask everybody, but I want to make sure we're all done first before we're buttoned up. We feel pretty buttoned up?
I think we covered it.
Okay, cool. So these are the little conversation cards that I bought a while back for a Wednesday night service. And I pulled this one out just randomly. And I was really intent on asking this question because I feel like this group of people, we all have our own tastes in life. And the question is, what do you value most in your life? And does the way you spend your time reflect this? That's a big question.
Yeah.
Because I like to say that I value my relationship with Christ and I value my family. Those are probably the top two things that I value. And I spend most of my time doing other things.
Yeah.
Most of my time is spent.
Self-ambition.
So I meet with a professional coach once a week ish. And one of the things that he told me is that I have a tendency of feeling like I'm a kid in a room full of adults. So like I always feel less than the people that I'm around. And he's like, you have to understand your self-worth. You have to see that you not only have earned a seat at the table, but you deserve a seat at the table.
Yeah.
This isn't about what you have earned. It's about who you are.
Who you are now.
And you should have that seat. And so I thought about that because that's that drive for that ambitious drive, that desire to constantly be moving and doing things is so that for myself, I can feel like somebody's going to know. Like if I were to get hit by a bus today and they were to put my obituary in the newspaper, I would love for people to go, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, I know him. But that's
But it's-
all I'm doing is chasing, and it's not fame necessarily. Like I'm not trying to be famous, but I'm chasing this desire for people to be able to connect with me. But I'm saying out loud, verbally, that the two most important things in my life are my relationship with Christ and my family. Yet I give very little time to focus on those things.
Yeah.
So
So
I think-
maybe
I
you
think we
really
all do that.
desire to know that you're loved.
it is a desire to have,
Recognition.
no, it's not recognition. It's affirmation. I desire affirmation. I desire somebody to say to me, hey, I saw what you did. That was fantastic. But here's the problem. I don't receive it well. I want it, but I don't receive it well. So like my wife, she's not allowed to tell me thank you. Like if I do the dishes, my wife cannot tell me thank you. She has to say, hey, because you did the dishes, it allowed me to read my Bible for another 10 minutes and I appreciate that. I can't hear thank you because it says to me that I'm lazy any other time.
No.
That's no joke. That's my mind says.
Well, and I've like, for a while I was cooking a lot, and now Chase and I kind of do it like half and half. And when he was starting to, get in the groove of it, I'm like, thank you. And he's like, you shouldn't have to thank
Right.
me.
It is my responsibility
Yeah.
to carry some of the weight.
Yeah.
And so my mind is not wired to hear thank you. Like I don't want to hear anybody tell me, it is the hardest thing for me. And this is so for anybody from our congregation who's listening, this is a fun fact about me. It's why I avoid conversation after church on Sundays. I cannot stand to hear somebody say, hey, good message. And it's not that I don't think the message was good or whatever. My mind
Your
can't
mind's
process
like, well,
that.
what was wrong with last week?
No, it's not even that. It's I have this thing with I don't know how to take that compliment and I don't know how to respond to it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome, thanks.
Right.
Like that's very it's
Yeah.
boastful and
Yes.
and I will tell my wife like that felt good.
Yeah.
It felt good. It's not about whether the message was good or not, but it felt good coming out. It felt natural. And so I struggle with hearing those compliments. Like I don't it's hard for me. Now, put on an Elvis jumpsuit and go do a show and people do the same thing and it's equally as hard in that moment to hear that. So at home, my wife and I, we just have an agreement. She doesn't say, hey, thanks for doing the laundry. It's, hey, you did all of that laundry. Now I don't have to worry about spending my weekend.
Like she's acknowledging.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about her saying thank you. It's about her showing me what I was able to free up for her.
Yes.
You gave me the day to go and do this because you did that. That's more valuable to me than the thank you.
Yeah.
Because the thank you, my mind can't process it.
So it's like appreciation.
Yeah.
Like I say that a lot to you. I appreciate you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that, so, but, and you know what's funny, Holly? You saying that, I just realized anytime you say that, it doesn't bother me at all. But if you were to say, hey, thank you, I don't know what to say. Like I get uncomfortable and my skin starts to crawl and I feel like I want to run and hide. Like it's just how I am.
See, I have that. Like if I speak and then somebody will say, that was a good man. I'll say, oh, the glory be to God.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. Hey, that
I
wasn't
feel-
me. That was all
Yeah, I
God.
feel
Like, and I do that, but I feel like that's a deflection because we are anointed people. Like, not everybody can do what we do, and so we have to be willing to take that credit to some degree. But it's hard.
Yeah.
I
It's
understand that.
really hard.
Well, and you don't want a bad taste in someone's mouth for saying thank you wrong.
Yes.
Or, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
You know,
touchy.
this is the other day at work. I have that at work. The drivers come in, and I've just cleaned the floor, and they just truck right across it. And they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I said, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And so this one guy was just like, okay, I won't worry about it. And he stomped all over the floor. And so I really had to reprogram myself to
Yeah.
say, thank you for appreciating me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
But it was a way I had to retrain myself because I really offended him.
Right.
That he was apologizing to me, and he thought I was blowing him off.
Yeah, and you're writing it off like he didn't mean anything.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, and I thought, no, I got to change my
Yeah,
come back a
the
little
way
bit.
that you say it. Right. Sid, what do you value most?
I would say like my family and relationships. Not even my family, I guess.
You hear that, Alva? She doesn't love you.
I guess just the relationships of one-on-one that I have with my family.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're all different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I've been trying to spend more time, like, you know, going to lunch with.
Yeah.
But it definitely needs some working on. So yeah, it's like an eye opener. That question, I was like, oh.
When you become aware of it,
Yeah.
it makes it far more
Yeah.
front of mind.
Like I kind of want to write that down and like put it on my mirror or
Yeah.
something. Like, I don't know.
It's a big one. Holly, how about you?
Okay, so it says the order is God, family, church, ministry. So truly, God and the kingdom, and then my family. That's truly who I am.
And do you feel like how you spend your time reflects that?
I do.
And you're probably the one person that I would
Yeah.
agree with on that. Like
Yeah.
that statement is probably
For sure.
and the thing is you can tell that through the fact that you're willing to be at the church 5 nights a week
Right.
if that's what the desire of the people is.
Unpaid.
That's
for-
right.
yeah.
Like you will be here 5 nights a
Yeah.
week if that's the desire of the people. If you have 5 people that say I want to come to church on Tuesday night, you're going to make
be
sure
here.
that there is church on Tuesday night for them. So
Right.
yeah. Okay, Nick.
Well, first thing I wanted to say, I kind of feel the same way you do about being around other people sometimes, especially males, because I can't build a bench.
Yeah.
I'm not a hands-on Mr. Fix-It. I can't do those
Yeah.
things. So a lot of times I don't feel like an adult because I can't do those things.
I wanted to
Because-
say that too. Because yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more of an intellectual, creative, you
Well,
know, historical
that's what
person.
I was going
Right.
to say.
That's where my strengths
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But those aren't
Those aren't manly.
You can't bring them into every day.
Yes. Yeah.
So
we're having a campfire and we just start talking about Gettysburg. That's not
I'm your guy, but getting a fire started maybe, or something like that, or chopping the tree down. Okay, no, it's not me. Don't hand me the chainsaw.
Yeah,
it's just so
I'll
I have
take
that
the chainsaw.
yeah. So I have that issue. I think that, honestly, I'm not just saying this to say this, but I treasure my wife the most because she allows me to live in my strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and I hate to say this, but she doesn't have really any hobbies. So for her to do laundry and all these things all the time, she never gets away from it. And and I've done my best to try to get her away from it, but it's just who she is.
Yeah.
So
well, some people don't have hobbies.
Right.
Yeah.
So it allows me to kind of exercise those creative things that, I said self-ambitious. I think one of my biggest problems is I'm a very ambitious person. Like, I really want to write a book about Gettysburg.
Right.
I want to accomplish things.
Yeah.
Like, I think about all these things that I want to accomplish.
Yes.
Now, is it necessarily for myself? I don't really look at it that way. I look at it more as I'm trying to contribute something
To society.
to something,
Yeah.
to society, to
Yes.
something that I love, so
Yeah.
people have a
Yep.
better understanding of
Yep.
it. And it's always played a larger role in my religious beliefs too, because it's a subject that always has had a lot of religious connotations in it. Yeah. So, and I think that's always been intertwined in all of that. So it's another reason why I want to accomplish something with it, because I feel like all the values that I've learned from that have had a lot to do with God, and it's made me the person that I am.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to, maybe
that
do
down.
something that affects somebody in that same way.
Yeah.
So fun. Just this is kind of I firmly believe, and many people will disagree with me, but I don't care. I believe that my relationship with my wife is more important than my relationship with my children, because when her and I got married, we made a commitment to one another that is the hardest thing that you will ever do in your life. Like, to agree with somebody on everything in life is impossible.
Yeah.
And so it is a constant job
Plus trying to accommodate the other family.
raise 5 kids together.
Exactly.
Well, and I think I can say this too for everybody at the table. I was married once before, and we didn't talk about God. We just didn't. I had a lot of religious beliefs, but I kind of had to do it on my own. We just didn't talk about those things.
Yeah.
But now to be married to somebody that consistently you talk about God on a daily basis
Yeah.
for one reason or another.
Yeah.
It's just.
So the other part of what I was going to say was, I love the fact, and I don't know if you even know that she says this to people, but she said to me, it must have been on a Wednesday night, she said to me, I could just listen to him talk all day. So, like,
I heard her
as
say that.
strange as it may sound, you're kind of her hobby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that.
She loves to listen to you.
knows.
She loves to listen to you play the guitar and sing. She loves to listen to you talk about Gettysburg. Like, and you got it all right. The fact that you can go and do those things, like, you can sit down and read, and you can
invest in himself.
Right, but you're investing in her just as
I was
much
gonna
in
say,
that time,
yes,
because she
absolutely.
loves hearing what you've got inside of you. She loves whenever you pour out. So that's
She doesn't like to be away from me. I mean, it's.
we're coming to you, Roger. I promise. We're way over time, and anybody that's not listening now, that's fine. We're an hour and 12 minutes, but you'll finish it up. It's fine. I had a friend who I met. It was very late in his life when I met him. He and his wife were never apart a single day when they were married. Once they were married, they were together every single day of their lives. Okay. They were members of Good Shepherd United Methodist Church. I met them through some events that I was doing there, and some events that I was doing sound equipment or setting up sound equipment for in another church, and just built a fantastic relationship with them. So much so that I was at their house more often than I was at my own house. Just like we were always chatting about something, and they were just beacons of light in my life. And I got a call that he had passed away. And it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I said to my aunt Charlene was the one that called me and told me. And I was living in Cleveland at the time. I said, I'm on my way. I drove straight to their house. I walked straight in the back door. Didn't knock. I don't care. I don't care. I've only known these people maybe 6 months at this point. Like, I haven't known them for very long. Yeah. I walked straight in the back door, and his wife is sitting at the dining room table. And she said, I never thought you would get here.
Aww.
And I gave her a hug, and she starts to tell me the story. And what happened was, He had an online business, sold stuff on eBay, old CDs, things like that, just kind of like eclectic,
Yeah.
whatever. It was making extra money.
Yeah.
And he would sit on the computer late at night and he would box up his stuff and he would do his eBay business late in the evening. She'd fallen asleep in the recliner and he was sitting at the desk and she woke up in the middle of the night and realized he wasn't at the desk anymore, but he had left his dirty socks lay on the desk. And she picked up the dirty socks and she, mumbled under her
Right.
breath and threw the dirty socks in the hamper. And she starts to get ready to go in and go to bed. And she decided to just go back to the recliner, sit down and relax. She fell asleep in the recliner. When she woke up in the morning, he had had a massive heart attack and died in bed. The only night they were not in bed together was
Wow.
that night.
Wow.
Wow.
Now tell me that God did not want her to be there in that moment.
Yeah.
Like the relationship that they had was so strong. They were together every single day of their married lives. They didn't know not being together. And God was like, yeah, but we got to do this one time.
Yeah.
We got to do this
Because
one time.
for her.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. And when they had a routine in the mornings. She would get up, she would turn on the coffee pot, and he usually slept in because he had been up late.
Yeah.
And she would go over and she would knock on the door. She'd like tap her fingernails on the door, and she'd say, "Coffee's on," and he'd get up, come out, and get coffee. She did that, tapped on the door, "Coffee's on," and he didn't come out. About 20 minutes later, she goes in and she's, "Hey, why aren't you getting up?" And she opens the door and he's face down in the bed. And she rolls him over and all of the blood has rushed to the front of his body. She immediately calls 911. They get there and they ask her, "Why didn't you call us sooner?" Like she knew that something had happened to him. And that she felt like she was treated very much so like she should have done something.
Yeah.
And she struggled processing that for a long time.
yeah.
And it's so funny to me because if they only knew, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they only heard half of their story and realized how true that love was, there's no way that if she could have controlled that she would have allowed that to
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they gave her a false responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember many years later when she passed away, I was like, when people pass away, it affects me differently than it does most people. Like death doesn't really bother me. And I was so excited
For her.
to know that they would be back together. Like
Yeah.
there's some reunion there that they just loved each other so much. It was absolutely beautiful. So
Yeah, we'll be married 5 years, and we've only spent one night apart, and that's when my dad was in the hospital, and I stayed with him.
that's nuts.
So yeah,
I look
And
forward
she's
to
like-
running from my wife.
and she's like, because as y'all know, we'll get to going to Gettysburg 3-4 times
Yeah,
a year, and,
yeah.
and it starts to wear on her a little bit. And she's gotten to the point where like, you can go by yourself if you want to. I really mean that. And I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
And I really don't have
No.
any desire to go without her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's great.
So it's
Chase is kind of the same way. Like he had his guys trip for the bachelor party, and he's like, and then the year before that, they decided to all go to Atlantic City and like gamble and stuff, and it was awful. Like they had a full week, and within 2 days, he's like, because I was just kind of flexible working. He's like, "What do you work?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't work till Friday." And I think it was like,
Can you
Monday.
fly down here, please?
He's like, "Well, we're really bored, and like, if you want to come," I'm like, "No, the guys wouldn't like that." He's like, "No, they want you to come. Like, this is awful." But I say that because we've talked, and he's like, "It's just not the same. Like, I'm here 2 or 3 days," and I'm like, and even when we're like double dating, going other places, we're like, we just enjoy ourselves together because we're kind of go with the flow, and when you're with other people, things just get
They rush,
twisted.
everything is- yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Alyssa and I, we are both very independent. Like she doesn't need me for
Yeah.
anything. She jokes whenever I get my paycheck, that's her paycheck. Like she doesn't need me for
You
anything.
too, huh?
It's just how it works, man. I got a raise at work and ended up taking a pay cut. I don't know how that happens, but like I get less now. I don't really understand, but it's just how it works when you have a wife.
Wait till you've been married for 53 years.
Well, I don't know, Roger. It kind of feels that way already. But her and I are like, we're very much so in step. Like she handles these things, I handle these things, and she never has to worry about this. I never have to worry
Right.
about that. And we very much so get it. But we are very individual people. Like she loves to go shopping with her sister, and I love to be able to come here and work at the church by myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, we're very independent people. But I will since she has started working, I've gotten better at this. But it used to be if she went out with her sister, like if they went and saw a movie or
Yeah.
whatever, and they were gone for any length of time, I would not go to sleep until she was home. Like I couldn't fall asleep. My body would not fall asleep until she was home.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, now that she's working, I've gotten better, but it was weird for a while. Like I was very much so dependent on her presence in the
being
house
there,
because
yes.
that was our time. That was
Yes.
our time.
Yeah, I'm very independent too. But, there was a 10-year period where I didn't have anybody. I
Right.
could have wrote all the books I wanted, had all the time in the world. Didn't do anything
Yeah, but you
because I
you
didn't
partying
have,
too
it's
much.
like I didn't have her to
ambition.
The driving
give me
force.
that.
The driving force.
And
Right.
now it's
I-
like, yeah, I want to do it all the time and just feel like I could.
Now there
do
are
anything.
There are 3 men sitting at the table, and if any of you say that I'm wrong, I will call you a liar. But like my wife is the only reason I'm still alive. Like she makes
yeah.
sure that I eat. She makes sure I have clean underwear most days. Like she like.
Yeah,
I mean, I was eating a Jerry's 7 nights a week.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
Like
like,
that's
I'd
not
probably-
good for
yeah,
your
I'd
body,
probably-
man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
that will kill you.
Or your wallet.
Yeah, right. But like my wife is the only reason that I eat, that I'm even still alive. My wife is the only reason that I'm in ministry. Let's be honest
Yeah.
with each other
Yeah.
because I like when Florence was like, "Oh, you should
Right.
get your license," and I was like, "No,
No,
you're crazy."
no.
And I was talking to my wife, and she's like, "Yeah, but why not?"
Yeah, she's
She's like, "You can," and she's always my wife. I remember this is. I'm not going to share the whole story, but just a couple of weeks ago, my wife had been off. Like she wasn't herself. And I said, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And she unloaded on me. Not she wasn't mean, but like all of this pent
All
up
this-
like
yeah.
stuff that
It's
had
like, now
happened.
that you asked.
And now that you've asked, and she just said it, and I'm sitting across the living room from her, and I said, "Okay." I said, "There's nothing I can say to change the way that you feel right now, so
Yeah.
I'm going to let you feel that way."
Yeah.
And 24 hours later, I did what I needed to do to fix the problem that was on my end. And then we were, okay, we're cool. Like we've got this figured out. There's never at any point does she ever hold anything against me. Like I know if I've done something wrong and she tells me I've done it wrong. And I've told people this before. One year for Christmas, I asked her for a list of things that I do that are not good for our marriage. I keep that list in my dresser drawer, and I will occasionally just pull it out and say, is there anything on this list that I'm still currently doing? And that's not
Yeah.
easy to do.
No, not at
So
all.
again, I don't think any 3 of us can sit here and say that our wives aren't the driving force behind everything that we do.
Yeah.
Like Roger would not go to Walnut Creek Cheese and buy 500 pounds of butter if it weren't for Linda.
It was only 180 pounds.
Only.
3 freezers full of butter.
You laugh, but it's the truth.
It is true. It is. It was on sale. It was on sale. How
It
can
was
you
on
say
sale, so we
no?
had to get it.
How can you say no?
But Pastor Michael, you and Alyssa are well balanced.
Oh, we are a
Yeah,
beautiful
absolutely.
balance. We are a beautiful balance. Like when I go off the rails and I'm crazy, like I'm very entrepreneurial. I desperately want to start my own business. And she's like, no.
She's reeling you back in.
She says to me, she's
like,
like, when
"You
are
don't
you
have time."
When are you going to find
Exactly.
time?
Exactly.
And then what happens when you don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the ADHD that I'm not diagnosed with kicks in, and I'm like, I don't like that anymore. Let's do something different.
Yeah, you're hyper focusing on
Yeah.
one thing.
Yep. And so I know that about myself. But again, I just like I know that I can't go and gamble. I have to keep that in check. But here's the beautiful thing. Just as you said, we're well balanced. She loves to let me dream. Like I will tell her about all of the businesses that I want to start, and she's like, "That sounds like it could be fun."
Just not.
And then when I come home with like, "Hey, I found a place that I want to rent," she's like, "Absolutely not. It was cute while you were thinking about it, but now that it's for real, it's not going to happen." I've conjured up like all sorts of like crazy things in my head that I'm like, "Oh, that could be successful. Oh, that could be successful."
maybe if you and Chase go in on a card shop
Nope,
together.
don't say it. I've already thought it. And I said to
That's
her,
his dream.
I
And
said
I'm
to her, I was
yeah,
like,
that's a
we
good dream.
could get Pokemon cards shipped directly to us, and we could open all of them.
Oh yeah,
And she's like, and then you would make no money.
exactly.
Which it's not about the
That's
money.
not-
It's about the cards. But let's just be honest with each other. All right, Roger, it's your turn. What do you value most in life, and does the way you spend your time reflect this?
Just like you said, God and family. That's what the word says. So that's what I do. But I'm like Michael said. We don't. At least him and I, we don't spend as much time focusing on them as we do taking care of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I become very task oriented
Yeah.
here specifically.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, and it's not that we regret what we do, but we all need to spend more time with the Lord.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then you know, my wife, it's like you said, without her,
Yep.
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm self-destructive. Like, I am very self-destructive, and I am fully aware of that. If it weren't for my wife, oh boy,
Yeah.
oh boy, I'd be swimming in a pool of Pokemon cards, flat broke, eating bologna, which we all know I don't want to do.
Yeah, I didn't have much time left.
No,
That's just before.
When I found my wife, this is, and again, we are way over our time, and I don't care as long as you guys don't care. If you feel like you need to leave, feel free to go ahead. I don't care.
Does
I'm
it
going to
say
keep
how many
talking.
viewers we have?
I can't see it on here. Here, I'll pull it up on my computer. But here's the thing about my wife.
I'm sure
is,
all the wives are listening. Now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're not, they're like
tuned in now.
Where are they at?
my I can say this about when meeting my wife when I did, and it's the fact that, you know, God had ordained that meeting long before it had ever actually happened. And I've shared that story a million times. But it wasn't until we were physically married and living together that I realized how self-destructive I actually was. And I say that because I had convinced myself that my wife didn't know I was smoking.
How'd that work out?
Well, where did I think? What was she thinking I was doing with the money at the gas station?
Right.
Like, how often are you at the gas station spending $7? Like, what are you buying for $7 at the gas station 3 times a week? She never asked the question. She never called me out for it. She was always just like, okay, it is what it is. And then I would run in the house and brush my teeth, and she'd be like, why'd you just brush your teeth? And I'm like, I had bad breath. I drank 6 cups of coffee, and I smell like cigarettes. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But my wife, when we first got married, was very timid, and she didn't call me out for those things. It wasn't until much, much later in life that she was like, okay, you're not going to do that anymore because it's self-destructive. And you're not just ruining your life, you're ruining our life. You're ruining the
Right.
potential for destroying everything that we've worked for hurting our children, like all of those things. So, and
Yeah,
you know,
I can buy a $2.99 book on Amazon Kindle, and I'll get a text message like 5 seconds later. Bought a book on Kindle, did ya?
Yeah.
Because she's on that
she gets a
electronic
no-
banking
yeah.
constantly.
Gets
I
a
don't know how
noti-
many times she's been like,
My
you went
wife-
here, did ya?
My wife gets like a text message notification when I spend money. So I'm like, got to figure out how to get around that one. Does Apple Pay still notify her? I don't know. I don't know.
But you guys are lucky. If I want any money, I gotta ask.
You got to ask for it. Yeah, I was going to say, you got to go and ask for it. Right.
Can I have $1? Can I have $2 to get a coffee?
That's good stuff. Well, and so that's the other self-destructive part that I possess, is that, like, because my wife does all of our finances, she's very gifted in that. Like, she budgets, she has a notebook, and I kid you not, she gets a new one every month or so, probably longer than that. But she has every payday, every bill that's going to be written, every check that's going to be written. She knows exactly what we're paying every single payday. So I have, and this is no joke, I could be a multi-billionaire and I have no idea because I have no idea how much money I have or I don't have. Like, I could be flat broke. I physically do not know.
Yes.
Here's what I know. I can go to the coffee shop and swipe my card with confidence that it will clear.
Right.
Like, that's because I trust my wife to handle that. And I have never once ever felt like I couldn't trust her with money, which that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
Yeah, it is.
For sure.
I honestly, I don't know. But the self-destructive part is I also don't care. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to go out for lunch today.
I need that Pokemon card. I'll make it work
Yeah,
somehow.
exactly.
I've got the
exactly,
itch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so I went. I'm on this kick where I got to get rid of this little roll that's starting in the middle here, and I said to myself one day, I can go to Burger King and I can eat for $3 at Burger King. $3. It's the only fast food place in Berlin, but I can eat there for about $3. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna get a salad today. So I went up to the grocery store and I bought a salad. You know how much that salad cost me?
$8.
I was gonna say.
$13.
Wow.
$13. Now,
Was it like a Walnut Creek salad?
it was, as a matter of fact, it was. But the problem was I had to have a specific type of ranch,
Sure.
because they give you a little packet. Well, that ain't never good enough for me.
Nope.
So I had to have a specific type. So I had to buy all of these extra things. And in my mind, I'm saying to myself, do you really need all of this? And I'm like, yup.
I'm being healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I had justification. So that is a very self-destructive thing that I do. And so, if my wife were to text me and say, hey, you just spent our last $13, I would have felt stinking terrible.
Terrible. Yeah.
but my mind doesn't think like that
Right.
in the
In
moment.
the moment, yeah.
Because there's this gratification that my body, that dopamine that my mind wants to say that I've gotten something that I didn't have before. There's one, Chase makes fun of me for this because there's one Pokemon card that I desperately want to own in the worst way. The card costs $700 to buy it. Like if somebody has one,
it's in the worst collection to get.
it is. It's in the hardest.
He's like, he might as well go buy the card.
By the time I have bought packs
All
to
the
get this
packs.
card, I would have been cheaper to just buy the actual
Isn't
card.
it terrible when you tell yourself, if I don't have that item, there is no point in me having this collection?
Correct. Correct. And what's why in my mind do I need a $700
Yeah.
Pokemon card?
But if I don't have it.
That, let's be honest with each other, someday is going to be worthless.
yeah.
See, my wife, that's where the balance comes in. My wife is like, I couldn't care any less. Like, my wife is wearing a pair of pajama pants that has a hole on the inner thigh, has no elastic left in the thing. And I'm like, go buy new pajama pants. She's like, these ones are fine.
fine.
They're
Yeah.
comfy. I'm like, really?
Well, how about this?
It's just not.
Yeah.
Because I collect just as much as you do, just as much as Chase does. Well, for Christmas, she kind of got on a Care Bear kick. Like, she wanted, I want a Care Bear sweatshirt.
Got to buy them
So
all.
now- Well, I go into an antique store, and here they've got Care Bear lunch boxes and Care Bear glasses and Care Bear plates, all that stuff.
So now you collect Care Bears?
So then, I'm collecting them for her.
Right.
I got on
Oh,
this
yes.
kick, like she'll love this, and I couldn't help myself but keep buying
I'm
it
the
so
same
she
way.
could have a collection
Okay.
that she could care less about.
All of the Funko Pops that I have, Chase bought them.
They're Chases. They're Chases. He collected them for
Yeah,
you.
it's like stuff I would like, but like he'd never buy for himself. But he's collecting
I
them for me.
do that with Easton because Easton likes Elvis stuff. Well, I'll buy all of this for Easton,
Yeah.
and he doesn't care. He doesn't give a darn about any of that.
Yep.
I'm like, my mind can't process that. So I did that with my wife one year for Christmas. I'm self-proclaimed world's best gift giver. I love giving great gifts. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. So when I hear my wife, like, I'm constantly listening to what she's like, oh, that's cute. I really like that. I'd love to have one of those. My mind is always like, ooh,
Put that in your
put
phone.
that on the list
Yeah.
for Mother's Day, put that on the list for Christmas. And so she's always wanted a Le'Veon chocolate diamond. Always. And I was like, this is the year I'm buying her a Le'Veon. And I shopped and I shopped and I shopped and I shopped, and they went on clearance at K's. And I went and I bought her a Le'Veon chocolate diamond ring. And my wife's not a jewelry wearer. So I had to find something petite, something that I knew she would like. I bought her the ring. Within 6 months, I had to buy her a necklace too. Because she had to have a set, right? Like, that's the logical thing to do. And now I'm like, man, she needs earrings.
Yeah.
But my wife doesn't wear jewelry.
Right. That
Do you
really
know
would've been
how
good
much a
enough.
Le'Veon chocolate... like, it's stupid
Yeah.
that my mind says that we collect these now. Like, we have one, so we need them all.
Yeah. My wife's like, what am I going to do with this stuff? I'm like, put it in your hutch, And she's like, I'm not putting all these in my hutch.
Right. I don't care about Care Bears that much. Like,
like, you
I said I
don't?
want a
You said
sweatshirt.
you like Care Bears.
Oh, Chase says all the time, he's like, oh, if I would have never met you in my house. Because when I moved in, like, there was nothing on the walls. Like, I decorated it all, but he's like, if I would have never met you, this thing would be a whole man cave.
It would be the whole
Oh,
house
yeah.
would be wall-to-ceiling Funko Pops. I guarantee it.
My
Yeah.
wife moved in. I had all my sports memorabilia in the living room, jerseys and footballs and helmets.
His
all
eyes are,
gone.
And she's like,
his
this
eyes
just
are
looks
scolding
terrible.
right
I'm
now.
like, what do you mean? This looks sweet.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I got a life-size Ric Flair stand up in the middle of the...
Now it's all in totes.
But we learn, I
Not
think...
all of them. She
I-
does let me keep stuff.
I think
out,
we
so.
learn that, like, as humans, like, that's part of the thing that we do. We become addicted to worldly things, to fleshly things, and we stop forgetting about the things that are the most important to us. And that's, even as Christians, like, we all sat here and shared war stories, all this funny stuff, but those are things that the enemy will use to trip us up.
That's right.
Like, when he can take my financial stability because of Pokemon cards, that's a problem. Like,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I blame Chase entirely. One of these days, I'm just going to sue Chase for all of the money I've spent on Pokemon cards because it's his fault.
I think he's gonna have to take himself.
When your wife to be
off.
says, "Do you know what that's doing to your credit?" and you're like, "No,
Don't care.
don't know."
Don't care. gimme.
You're like, I don't need my credit anymore. We have a house.
Yeah,
We're
well,
good.
who needs
Who
credit?
needs credit? Credit's a thing of the past, right? Like,
I can always sell this stuff. That's
Yeah.
my credit.
That is the truth.
That-
Like and
Oh,
somehow in our minds we think that
I'm
this
gonna retire on this stuff.
exactly. So I've got this collection of Elvis Barbies like you wouldn't believe. No, you heard that right. Elvis Barbies.
Barbies.
I am a grown man
Yeah.
who fought with people online auctions for Elvis Barbie dolls. Okay, I have every Elvis Barbie doll ever made. Okay, this is no joke. This is not a joke. And I spent there's one particular set, and I bought this set on eBay, and I paid well over $100 for it. But I'm like, I have to have it. It's the only one that I don't have. I've got to complete the set, right? And I'm like, oh boy, this thing's gonna be worth so much money someday. And the other day, I was like, you know what?
$35.
I was like, I got to start unloading some of this stuff because I've got so much stuff in the office. I have nowhere to put it anymore. Like, it's gotten out of control. And I'm like, you know what? I know I can sell that one for a pretty substantial amount of money. I'll list it. That thing ain't worth nothing. I can't get anybody to give me $50 for it, let alone $100 for it.
Which
And
is
I'm
what
like,
you paid for.
and I'm thinking to myself, why did I do that? And because I was in this cycle, and this is the part that we need to be honest with ourselves about. And this isn't the case like at every purchase. Like I wouldn't say this probably about Chase's collections, but for me, I get into this funk where I'm not feeling good about myself or good about where I'm at in the world, and so then like I fill that void with purchases, and then I look at my Venmo credit card and I owe $3,000 on it, and I'm like, what did I do to myself? And then my wife gets the statement because, I drive home really fast that day to get to the mail when that statement comes.
Because you know it's in your informed delivery.
Right. And she's going to see it and like, I've got to get this thing shredded before she ever sees it. But my wife will open that and she'll be like, so was that really a good choice? And I'm
Right.
like, no, it wasn't.
I'm
But she
sorry.
never, like my wife, and while she calls me out on it, she never beats me up over it.
Yeah.
She's like, and I'm learning that I don't have to continue to in that cycle.
Right.
Like I can say, hey, listen, I'm not feeling good about where I'm at right now. And I have like this impulse, this desire to buy. And she's like, but you don't have to. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to have something just because you're in that
Yeah.
position.
Just to make you feel good.
And it's even worse when she goes to work on those Tuesdays and Thursdays, like I was saying. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to her being there,
Yeah.
like as kind of that
Yeah.
fail safe, and she's not there. I'm like, eBay, here I come.
Let me text
I'll just
Chase.
take a look.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I'll
look.
just take
Oh,
it.
that's a good price.
Yeah.
That's the
Ooh.
big one. Is
And there's 25 watchers.
I was
I
gonna
better
say
get this
watching,
thing.
yeah.
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 Everybody wants it. I gotta have it.
Gotta
so.
have it.
Yeah.
See, I just get gratification for going to Amazon, putting it in my cart, carrying it around with me a little bit, and taking it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I am
That's
not
a whole
that
other
way.
conversation.
Yeah, because then you can be like, we'll put it in the cart for later. And then
Yeah.
you're like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
take it
Why
out.
did I ever have that in my cart? I did that. This is a dumb one. I had a funnel,
a funnel?
like a kitchen funnel. Like
Oh.
I put it
For
in my
salt?
Amazon cart. It was like $5.
Was it like a metal one?
No, it was rubber, but I can't remember. So I put it in the cart, and I was like, I gotta buy that. I gotta remember I have to buy
Yeah,
that.
because Michael's in the kitchen so often.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't even a kitchen need. It was a different need. But I knew
Communion?
the
Communion?
Nope, wasn't. No, come on now. Like, do you think my mind was functioning in a logical sense in that moment? Absolutely not. No, no way. So I had decided that I have to have this funnel. I put it in my cart, but I can't remember why I didn't buy it like right then. And I opened my cart about 3 days later, and I see that funnel, and I'm like, why did I want this thing again? And I still, to this day, don't know why I ever put that funnel in my cart. No idea. But the impulse is there, and it's really
Especially with the
bizarre.
one-click buy. And,
Yes, it's unhealthy. It's
Yeah.
really unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unhealthy. And like, oh my gosh, to pay for something through Venmo, you don't feel it.
Oh, see, I did.
Like to pay online or with your card or whatever, like
Yeah.
it's no cash exchange. Like if you hand me $100, I have a much harder time spending that
Yeah,
than I
absolutely.
do just paying $100 on my Venmo account or through PayPal or whatever. And it's because there's like I hand you the 100 and I'm like pulling it back a
Yeah.
little bit. I remember when we bought our house, our down payment check, like we had to send,
Yeah,
we had
you
to
don't
take a
want
money order, and I've got the money order in my hand, and the lady's like, okay, I just need the money order for the thing, and then we'll sign. And I'm like, I'm holding on to it with both hands, and I didn't want her to take. And I said to Alyssa, I said, "Are you sure we're gonna do this? Like, we can say
As
no.
you're giving it to her.
Like, we
Yeah.
can. We don't have to do this."
Yeah.
And my wife's like, "Give her the money order." But it was painful for me because that's a lot of money to give away. So $100, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
But whenever it's like not tangible, oh
Right.
man, I spend money all day long. I don't care. Do you know what that's doing to your credit? Nope, don't care. Don't care. I just want it. I just want it. So. Well, now that we've talked about really bizarre things after a conversation about hell. Yeah. But I think that it's healthy because I think people need to understand that there is so much more to ministry than just constant conversation about ministry.
Yes.
Like this is a good eye opener for us in focusing on what our flesh has to do on top of what our spirit has to do. Yeah. We have to align the two, and that's a challenge. It can be a real big challenge. So understanding that we all fall short every day.
Amen.
We all fall short. So, okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me gather my bearings here. My computer may have died. I don't know. And I'll tell you what, Pastor Holly, will you pray us out tonight?
Okay. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just love you and praise you. And we thank you so much for this time that we had together, Father, for the fellowship, Father, for the laughter, Father, even for the sentimental moments, Lord. We thank you for it all. Lord, we just ask you to bless those that were listening tonight, Father. And we ask you, Lord, that they would just get a complete understanding of heaven and hell, of the righteousness of Christ, and how much wickedness there is around us that tries to deceive us and trip us up into deception. Yes. Father God, for not a one of us desire to end up in a devil's hell. So, Father, I thank you and I praise you for that one listening. Today is your day of salvation. Today is your day to say, Jesus, come into my heart. I believe that you died, you rose again, and I thank you, Father, for eternal life. So, Father God, we do just give you the glory tonight and all the honor and all the praise. And, Father, we thank you for loving us. And, Father, we're so grateful that we get to love on you. So we just thank you for everything that you do, Father. So thankful for what you've done. And, Lord, we stand in great expectation of what you're going to do. We give you the praise, the glory. And, Lord Jesus, we just want to thank the Father for sending his Son, that not a one of us should perish, but we would have eternal life in Jesus Christ. And in the beautiful Son's name we say, Amen.